After a week that saw record Chinese military activity near Taiwan, President Tsai inspects troops. Devastated family of those killed in a Pingtung factory fire demand answers as rescue efforts continue. Confronting Taiwan's rental black market, as rents soar, we meet groups pushing for transparency. Plus, making fitness ageless, the community in Taiwan making it their mission to keep their seniors fit. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. The search is still on for the last missing person after a deadly factory explosion in Pingtung. As crews calm the site, relatives of survivors ask if more could have been done to prevent the disaster. John Van Trieste has this report.
In the burnt ruins of this factory in Pingtung, search and rescue teams have found the remains of 9 people, both workers and firefighters sent to rescue them. The rescue efforts are not yet finished. One person is still missing after the explosion and fire that tore through the site on Friday and Saturday. But while the search continues, there are questions and blame. Over 100 people, many of them factory workers, are injured. The factory's owners say their fire alarms should have helped prevent this from happening.
警报器有侦测到它自动响，然后当然警报器都是一个它是一个非常标准的流程。像我听到我也有跑出去。
But the factory had a history of being fined for labor and safety violations. Some survivors' relatives doubt the company followed protocol. Then there's the question of government responsibility. The Labor Ministry is launching a probe into the fire, but the Economy Ministry was in charge of inspections at the site, leading to speculation that some officials may be trying to shift blame.
在我们的科技产业园区里面的劳检是我们经济部的加工出口区来做劳检，那并没有说在背黑锅。
So far, officials have found 3 breaches of the law. These include storing 30 times the permitted amount of highly flammable chemicals and waiting more than 20 minutes to call the fire department. These offenses could carry a total fine of around $75,000. The factory owners have apologized and promised to set up a relief fund for survivors. But how much they'll offer is unclear, as is what caused the fire, whether it was preventable, and who might face the legal consequences. Lien Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A gas explosion in Tainan has left 8 migrant workers with second and third-degree burns. Security camera footage shows the group fleeing the building after an explosion inside. It's believed a gas canister exploded while the workers were cooking. Tainan's fire department is investigating the exact cause of the blast. The Mid-Autumn Festival begins later this week. As people in Taiwan enjoy an extended holiday, the armed forces will remain on high alert following record Chinese military activity around the country. President Tsai Ing-wen visited 2 military bases in central Taiwan to give the troops a morale boost ahead of the holiday. Leslie Liao reports.
Taiwan is about to head into its Mid-Autumn Festival weekend, which begins on Friday. In the lead up to the holiday, President Tsai Ing-wen has visited 2 military bases in central Taiwan. First, she visited the 234 Mechanized Infantry Brigade, which is one of the largest military units in Taiwan and is responsible for defending the center of the country. While there, she encouraged the troops, and she also received a demonstration of the Mechanized Infantry Brigade's capabilities. Now, the reason for President Tsai Ing-wen's trip to visiting these military bases is to encourage the troops and raise their morale, because they need to stand guard all while Taiwan is going through a long weekend for the Mid-Autumn Festival holiday. And this comes against a backdrop of increased Chinese aggression. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has not ruled out using force to bring it under its control. So Taiwan's defensive network and its armed forces need to be at the ready, even if it's time for a holiday, to defend and fend off any threats to the country, and that includes China. Now, after the 234 Mechanized Infantry Brigade visited, President Tsai Ing-wen came to this base, which is an Army Special Forces dispatch here in central Taiwan as well. And while here, she got an introduction to the equipment and the techniques that these soldiers are learning and using. And not only that, but she also gave a speech encouraging the troops, as well as pointing out that the troops here in central Taiwan, they not only defend the country, but they help out with rescue efforts, just as we saw earlier in the summer when there were torrential rainstorms here in Taiwan devastating the area. These troops are some that were dispatched to help out with disaster relief efforts. And this is what President Tsai Ing-wen said to them earlier.
各位都是我们中部地区重要的战备部队。在刚刚的各项演练中，我也看到大家以高昂的士气展现了扎实的训练成效。
Now, as Taiwan goes into the Mid-Autumn Festival, troops like these over here are going to be responsible for defending the country and be on the country's lookout. So as they do, the rest of the Taiwanese people can rest easy knowing that Taiwan's best is staying at the ready to fend off all threats. Joseph Wu and Leslie Liao in Taichung for TaiwanPlus.
Civil society groups in Taiwan have launched a tenants alliance, calling on renters to act collectively to clean up the country's shadowing rental market. Rick Gloward reports.
Rents are rising in Taiwan. They've reached record highs for the last 25 months in a row, putting pressure on the country's millions of renters.
我租到的房子很贵，可是我租到的物件就是个莫名其妙的物件，比如说顶楼加盖。
那我朋友是住学校附近，然后可能才5-6平，然后12000。
Civil society groups blame this on Taiwan's unregulated market. They say as many as 90% of landlords rent out apartments and rooms without registering with the government and declaring income. It leaves renters unprotected by local laws and unable to get government subsidies. Now, these concerned groups are launching a tenants alliance, and they want to create a publicly accessible database on Taiwan's rental situation.
市场没有透明的话，政府推的再多的补助，那个都是治标不治本。
Taiwan's Interior Ministry has been prosecuting landlords for not following regulations and avoiding taxes, and claims the market is becoming more transparent. It also says it is doing what it can to bring down rents by building more social housing and boosting subsidies. But that's not enough as far as the Tenants Alliance is concerned. They want their new database to hold both the government and landlords to account and give more power to the country's renters. John Su and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
Authorities are warning about a new online scam. Eric Gao has the details.
Get paid for watching some videos? Sounds too good to be true. And it is. It's a new scam appearing on Taiwan's social media. Fraudsters post ads for the scheme on various platforms, drawing in victims.
使用赖假冒投资公司之客服人员，以诈骗的话术诱使被害人加入投资群组。被害人进行投资后，会以小额出金方式取得被害人信任。
With that trust, victims put even more money into the scheme. But in the end, those investment funds are stolen, along with the victim's personal information. Police in the central city of Taichung have caught the scammers, even one who tried to escape out a window. The 6 suspects face up to 3 years behind bars if convicted. Scams like this tend to target younger people who may not be as wary about digital fraud.
有趣的好玩的，或者是有一点陷阱的话题议题的话，他们就会掉进去，就会看一下。
网络影音太发达吧，所以他们有可能就容易会去信这个，而且现在比较多是有点像冒用网红或者是 YouTuber 的身份去做剪辑产出的影片。
Authorities are urging internet users to be on alert when looking at online ads, especially any that seek investment. Andy Xue and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
3 more of Taiwan's diplomatic allies have called for the country's inclusion in the United Nations during the General Assembly in New York.
Taiwan's quest for participation in relevant specialized agencies of the United Nations is reasonable and ought to be accommodated.
The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, along with leaders from Belize and St. Kitts and Nevis, urged for Taiwan's participation in their addresses. That makes a total of 11 out of Taiwan's 13 diplomatic allies who raised the issue at this year's summit. The UN has long yielded to China's demands to exclude Taiwan, which has led some analysts to question the UN's credibility. 65 years ago, Taiwan's Air Force scored one of the world's first air-to-air missile victories during the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis. Ed Moon reports on the anniversary and what it reveals about U.S. military aid to Taiwan.
A moment in history. Then Vice Chief of Staff for the U.S. Air Force General Curtis E. LeMay arrives in Taipei. His task? To congratulate the Republic of China Air Force in Taiwan for its victories during the Second Strait Crisis. The year was 1958, and Taiwan was locked in its last major military confrontation with China. Communist forces attacked Jinmen, the Taiwan-governed islands just kilometers from China's east coast. During the fighting, 4 Taiwanese F-86s from the 11th Fighter Group fired the first Sidewinder air-to-air missiles in real combat, taking down 4 Chinese warplanes. Just 5 years earlier, the ROC Air Force had no jets and no missiles.
Yeah. And so most of the combat was between propeller aircraft that the ROC was flying, the F-47s, and these MiG-15s, which were just far superior. So that's basically the situation in the mid-50s, is that the ROC is using far inferior, very outdated World War II era equipment against the state-of-the-art MiG-15 out of the Korean War.
The United States, fearing the further spread of communism, decided to step up its military assistance to the Republic of China on Taiwan. Washington gave Taipei state-of-the-art fighter jets like the T-33, F-84, and F-86. It also provided air-to-air missiles like the Sidewinder, a top-secret technology at the time. When intelligence revealed the build-up of Chinese forces on the coast facing Taiwan, Washington gave the green light to transfer Sidewinders to Taipei.
It was absolutely shocking to the communists. And in fact, they basically alleged that the ROC had committed some sort of war crime by using guided missiles in combat. They were extremely upset about it.
65 years later, the United States is still Taiwan's most important security partner. And just like back then, the Sidewinder remains a crucial weapon in the ROC Air Force's arsenal. Washington has agreed to provide 100 of the latest generation AIM-9X missiles to Taiwan, and those missiles will be carried by the American-built F-16.
Sure, the AIM-9X is a missile which will increase F-16's combat capability, especially when it's combined with helmet-mounted display.
As this anniversary shows, Taiwan-US military cooperation has a history going back decades. And with cross-strait tensions on the rise daily, it's that partnership which is keeping Taiwan with the means to defend itself. Devon Tsai, Sam Hui, and Ed Moon in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Stay with us here on TaiwanPlus. Still ahead, we have a story that's out of this world. Could this asteroid sample solve the mysteries of the universe?
For more stories from Taiwan that are a real home run, please download the TaiwanPlus app.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world. Charted by the freest country in Asia.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC.
Public buses to be electric by 2030. A mission that begins with listening.
And telling the stories of Taiwan.
In Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
drawing insight from original thinkers.
And sharing it with the world. TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. The Philippines says it will remove a sea barrier placed in disputed waters of the South China Sea. The country has accused China of placing the obstacle in a Scarborough Shoal to prevent Philippine fishing boats from accessing the area. Philippine officials said steps would be taken to protect the rights of the country's fishing crews. China claims almost 90% of the South China Sea and has recently increased provocative actions against neighboring countries like the Philippines and Vietnam. Last month, China used water cannons to blast Philippine vessels trying to resupply a stranded ship. For more on the situation, our reporter Jaime Okan spoke to the director of Sea Light, Ray Powell, at Stanford University's Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation.
What is China hoping to achieve by deploying this sea barrier in the South China Sea?
So this is not the first time that China has put a barrier up in front of the entrance to Scarborough Shoal. Back in 2012, when there was the Scarborough Shoal crisis, they actually used a barrier made up of boats essentially tied together. So essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to deny the Philippines access to the interior of the shoal. Why they're trying to do that is, well, for one thing, we've seen that the Philippine fishermen apparently have reported they've done it before. So this is just the first time that the Philippine, in this case, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources has actually seen it.
We've seen similar instances with China continuing its provocative actions, using things like a water cannon and military-grade lasers to assert its claims in the South China Sea. Are we going to see more of this in the coming years?
That the Philippines has committed to this path of what I'm calling assertive transparency, so that it is assertively going out and making sure that everybody can see what China is doing at some of these locations. Now, the Second Taiwan Shoal situation is going to continue to be something that comes up every month to 45 days whenever there's a resupply. China has essentially committed itself to the blockade, because if it allows the Philippines through with any sort of sizable ship, then it runs the risk that the Philippines will either repair the Sierra Madre or simply run another ship aground.
With the Philippines trying to manage this sort of aggressive behavior, what role do allies in the region like the United States and Japan play in helping the Philippines kind of defend against these actions?
When you're a smaller power face to face with a much larger power, you really have to be able to look to your partners and allies for support. And the way that I have framed this in what the Philippines hopes will be benefits. One is to build resiliency for the Philippines itself and for the region. Resiliency can take the form of popular support. The second would be international support, and I think that's what you're alluding to, and that's what we're seeing.
That was Ray Powell, a security analyst and director of Sea Light at Stanford University. The largest ever collected asteroid sample has touched down on Earth after a 7-year mission. As Rosie Greninger reports, studies into the sample could bring scientists one step closer to solving some of the universe's biggest mysteries.
With bated breath, NASA scientists watch as the capsule from their unmanned spacecraft, OSIRIS-REx, made a blazing entry into Earth's atmosphere.
Touchdown. I repeat, DDO. FRC has touchdown.
And touchdown of the OSIRIS-REx sample return capsule. A journey of 1 billion miles to asteroid Bennu and back has come to an end.
7 years since it left, the spacecraft did a flyby to drop precious cargo from over 100,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The control room broke into celebration as it landed in the Utah desert, 3 minutes ahead of schedule. It's the first time NASA has delivered an asteroid sample to Earth, which was taken from near-Earth asteroid Bennu. This will give scientists the opportunity to learn more about the origins of the solar system.
So asteroids are the leftover remnants from solar system formation.
So they're a pristine example of planetary building blocks, and studying them helps us to understand how the Earth and all of the planets in our solar system were formed.
The OSIRIS-REx has so far travelled just over 6.2 billion kilometres. It took 2 years to reach Bennu in 2018, and the sample was collected in 2020. It's been on course back to Earth since May 2021.
The key objective for me, and one of the driving objectives of this program, is to try to understand, did carbon-rich asteroids like Bennu deliver the compounds that may have led to the origin of life on our planet?
Suited up in protective gear, scientists, engineers and military personnel swooped in to retrieve the capsule upon its arrival. The sample will now make its way to Houston, where scientists from across the globe will be able to analyse the asteroid matter.
Once these samples are taken to the Johnson Space Center, we'll be able to start removing them, deintegrating the science canister, evaluating those samples, and providing them to the scientific community.
But 70% of the sample will be stored for future generations when better technology is available. It's just the beginning for NASA's asteroid exploration, with the OSIRIS-REx already on its next mission to explore another asteroid. Lien and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
The United Nations has said its human rights rules should apply to artificial intelligence. The UN's tech envoy says that governments are responsible for ensuring AI does not cause harm. There's still no clear, universal way to regulate the rapidly evolving technology, which is mainly being developed by the private sector. The UN says it will put out recommendations addressing problems of biased algorithms and incomplete data sets by the end of the year.
So it creates a kind of, it's not just a moral authority, but it's create a kind of pressure, a compliance pressure for living up to whatever commitments you may sign up on AI.
A community in central Taiwan is working to make fitness available for everyone. It set up a so-called ageless gym to keep seniors fit. The country is forecast to become a super-age society in just a few years. Joyce Zheng has the story.
This trek up 3 flights of stairs is a daily ritual for Dai Xunguang. The 73-year-old has been hiking up through his house to pray for over 4 decades. Mr. Dai's family is growing more and more worried about this routine. Last year, he slipped and fell, breaking his right shin bone. Mr. Dai had to have surgery to fix it. He's now recovered, but he can't move as well as he used to, which means his daughter has had to keep a closer eye on him, a difficult task given she works full-time. This problem is becoming more common in Taiwan. The size of the country's older demographic is steadily outpacing the young. The consensus is that by 2025, Taiwan will be a super-aged society. Taiwan also has one of the lowest birth rates in the world, which means as the population grows older, fewer young people will be there to take care of them. Communities are now finding ways to help lessen the load on caregiving resources, like this gym in central Taiwan. This so-called ageless gym is a place for seniors to come work on their fitness together. The gym's workouts are specially designed for seniors, with trainers to guide them through various mobility and resistance exercises. For Mr. Dai, these tailored workouts mean he can strengthen his injured leg for better balance. The gym meets people at their current fitness level to help them stay healthy. And for Mr. Dai, that includes making new connections with his fellow trainees, important to have at any age. Chris Ma and Joyce Sin for TaiwanPlus.
A competitor from Taiwan has bagged the country's first female judo gold medal at the Asian Games. Lien Chen-ling is known locally as the Queen of Judo. She beat Momo Tamaoki of Japan, last year's Asian champion, to win the 57-kilogram weight category. The victory makes her Taiwan's second gold medalist at the Games in Hangzhou, China. Taiwan has won 2 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze medals at the Games so far, placing 7th in the medals table. Crashing, throwdowns, and b-boys, common language in the world of breakdancing and a new event in this year's Asian Games. Taiwan's top breakdancer is getting ready for the competition. Harrell Hughes tells us more.
The moves speak for themselves. Breakdancing started in the United States and is now popular around the globe. And for the first time, it will be an official event at the Asian Games.
其实 breaking 的本质就有点像是我们用肢体语言在做辩论，所以我们要怎么样辩赢对方？那很重要的一个点就是，在观众跟大家看来，你是不是比较受瞩目？
This is Taiwan's competitor, Sun Jian, also known as Quake. He is ranked first in Taiwan, 16th in the world, and is a two-time champion of BC1 Taiwan. That's a national qualifier for an international tournament.
他应该在国际上就是大家会觉得很有爆发力，然后也是动作很有原创力。
Each round of the competition is a one-on-one, head-to-head showdown. Scoring is based on 6 elements: skill, performance, creativity, diversity, musicality, and personality. The music is created on the spot by a DJ. But for the dancers, there are ways to prepare.
我的拿手招式应该是单手的东西，像我以前花很多时间在练一个叫抛的动作，就是以前大家说的大风车，我都会把它做成单手，然后再加上一点自己想的变化，这样。
The stakes are high. Gold medal athletes for certain events at the Asian Games automatically qualify for the Olympics. For Sun, he only needs to live up to his name to make his competitors quake. Alex Chen and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally today, we leave you with images of a new bicycle route around Sun Moon Lake in central Taiwan. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.